I take a lot of my cues from the Black American experience because everything I'm going through is just a diluted version of what happened generations before in civil rights and times before that. So when I thought the worst thing that I would have to deal with when I was a kid was the awkward conversations about, passing for a certain race and this and that. And my defense was always, well, black people who were light-skinned in the, pre-civil rights era, the paper bag tests of the AKAs and other similar types of things, that was all, just black people passing for white to try to avoid the danger of being black in America. So all I was doing with the, social affectations I had in high school and college was, white people told me very early on that they did not consider me a peer. They did not want me in their groups as a peer, or certainly not as a leader or superior, which flew in the face of how I was raised in my own community. And because of my genetic predispositions and our preconceived notions in our community, however I chose to approach that conversation is how the generation underneath me would approach that conversation. So, a lot of people that were peers of mine chose to have relationships with Caucasian, Jewish, European people, not because that was who they truly cared for, but because they felt that the association through procreation and sexual activity would gain them a type of acceptance and influence in that mainstream community, which you should really know better. That's not true, okay? But for that reason, I always had kind of a biracial or a multiracial appearance and an Anglo appearance. So there would be times when, I told you before, brown-skinned women and even men would make comments about my appearance in the form that they were almost envious of it. They wished that their lives were easier if they had my features. And I recognize the specific burden of that. There's plenty of ways that would make this journey easier. And the company is just a metaphor for this. If you dilute the equity in your company to private equity or so on and so forth, think about the dollar menu at McDonald's. You have a CEO that calls his food a product. Let's just leave that aside. And the only reason we went to McDonald's in 2012, 2013, and so on was because the dollar menu gave us the opportunity to get, have a chicken sandwich or a McDouble for $1 with a little, maybe a dime of tax or something like that. And now the dollar menu is a thing of the past. And that comes as a result of nepotism being socially promoted into leadership. So if that happens in your great white community and you think that Jesus comes from this community, this is a type of entropy. The first generation failed us. They were so strict with us, but when it comes time to take the stick to the white community, when they would lie even about the most holy of things, they let that go. That shows you that the God of the first generation is not the God that we're supposed to serve. It's not the God we're supposed to serve. Now, if you can't even tell the truth about your so-called Jesus, why should I abide by your rules and regulations that are completely arbitrary based off of your emotional pretense at the time? There is no amount of WASP affectations that will make me white, just as much as there is no amount of N-word rapping, Jason Williams, white chocolate basketball playing, Mandingo porn star, dick slaying. There's no amount of that will make me African American. So if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. And you have no problem saying that braids will not make me Puerto Rican or black. So why would false pretenses of WASP presentation make me white? Why would marrying a white woman or dating white women publicly improve my social status in any way? You can't have one if you're not willing to accept the other. And that is the hypocrisy, that is the shortcut that the Indian community will not admit to in this country. And that's a large reason for my displeasure at my own community's failure. But that's what Hero is about. Hero is about not being perfect, but establishing a standard, which is what I've referred to as an asymptote before, or a limit, the concept of calculus. We try to approach that line. See this? Oh, sorry. We try to approach that line. We'll never quite get there. But we try to live as close to that line as possible. And then the next generation improves upon that. Okay? So in the 30s and 40s, in the Great Depression time, World War II, African Americans had to pass for white. The paper bag test may have made sense on some weird level in sororities. And, the preferences and, sexual stigmas and so on and so forth were still kind of coming out of slavery and Birth of a Nation and Reconstruction and Hollywood and all that. But now everyone has an iPhone. We don't have to go to New York University and be Spike Lee. You can record your own perspective and you can broadcast your voice sitting at home. But the one thing the older generation did that we do not do very well, you have to get out of that studio in your house, hit the pavement, and shake hands with people in real life. People that don't look like you, people that don't talk like you, people that don't have the same outlook on sexuality as you, people who don't have the same outlook on spirituality as you. And that's how you will organically grow your audience. And the powers that be feed exclusively on your fear of doing that. Your fear of making a phone call after you've been rejected. Your fear of being publicly humiliated by a girl you like in front of everybody. Your fear of being emasculated sexually in some way. Your fear of being beat up physically in public. All of these things have happened to me, by the way. And you'll realize that once you get your first B on your report card and your perfect record is broken, you'll look at Floyd Mayweather's boxing career very differently. Okay? Floyd Mayweather is just Rocky III. Okay? Now, from the perspective of a fighter, the goal is to hit and not be hit. So if you're a professional fighter, your goal is to entertain and make money. But You can be pound for pound number one, the best ever in that, but we can't put ourselves in the category of people that fought real danger. And there are people beyond Muhammad Ali and Jack Johnson and Henry Armstrong and all those people that faced real danger. And those are the names we never heard, because the real heroes of the past will never get a platform from the enemy. So, just like the white Jesus that you see in your living room, the real Jesus is not going to get his story told accurately. And I operate as though the Bible I've been given is a complete fraud. However, I didn't make that in the sky. So, when you judge the tree of life, you judge the tree of existence by its fruit. When you go out into the sun and you walk in the sun and you come back inside and you breathe fresh air, does your body feel better or worse? Does your spirit feel better or worse? Mine feels better. And so I judge the Creator's tree by its fruit. And so that is where I start from. And I've never heard the voice of God. I don't believe that's where the voice of God is produced exclusively. There might be one or two good people there in 1,000. But whiteness is not salvation. No matter what America tells you, no matter what Jewish propaganda tells you. Okay? So, I worked up and down this road. There were manholes that had to be rehabbed, and as an engineer, my job was to kind of document that was happening. I was really doing nothing, but it was the contractors doing all the work. But my first days on the job, this is where one of the projects that I started. So at the very least, I'm somewhat familiar with the area. And guys, a lot of this is just hope that I'll, get an outcome that will keep me going for another few days. This is not what I've earned. This is less than the bare minimum. This is a government program. There is no reason on earth that I should be even thinking about what a government program is. Oh, but this is just another version of getting a B on a report card. So right now, instead of being able to borrow against the value of my companies, my multiple brands, Texas Movement Performance, proprietary knowledge, Hero by Texas Movement, a track and field powerhouse that is, on par with any other track and field apparel company now, and lifestyle brand. Texas Movement Media, which has a thriving YouTube platform and short films on social media that nobody can mess with right now. And then Texas Movement Consulting, which has already established multiple letters of intent with municipalities. And we have tons of stuff that is already in the works. Any of those things has a 7-figure valuation. The fact that I'm on Snap now, and the fact that I'm walking to get a state issue check to cure an illegal eviction, it's the highest form of insult to an American citizen. But every step I take is an answer. They're playing on the fact that I have my father's hubris. I do not. And they want to fatigue me by the death of my mother. that they caused. Doesn't matter. So, we're going to keep walking and keep moving forward. Shout out to the Mexicans that walk alongside us and that have cleared a great path for us. I wear my boots in your honor. And I wish God would give me the time to learn Spanish better, but for the time being, I must let my feet do the talking. But I hope we can have a celebration time soon. Let's take a break and I'll come back later. Thank you guys very much. Crossing the tracks.